The first step is to list your given information. In the problem, you can see a speed of 1.3 meters per second. You may not be sure which speed it is, so you can write v for now, but you'll notice, since we're doing an acceleration problem, we're going to have more than one speed. I see an acceleration of 0.09 meters per second squared. The question is, how do I know it's an acceleration? Take a look at the units. Meters per second squared is for acceleration. And you can also see where it says that she quickens her pace. That's a change in speed, which is acceleration. I also see a time of 10 seconds. Now I asked about the speed. Which one is it? That is actually the initial speed, v0, because the problem says, what is Vivian's speed after a certain amount of time? What we're looking for is the speed after a certain amount of time, so this is the final speed. The next step is to identify the equation that you need to use. If you go back to your given information, you'll see that we have a list of variables, v0, acceleration, and time, which can be used to identify our equation. So we need an equation with v0, acceleration, and time, and our unknown variable, final speed. This equation satisfies all of it. However, we're trying to find final speed. The next thing we'll have to do is equation transposing. We need Vf to be by itself. So you'll have to remember your order of operations. First, we need to do something with t, because it's division, which gives us the time times the acceleration is equal to the final speed minus the initial speed. To get rid of initial speed, we're going to add it to both sides. And we end up with the time times the acceleration plus the initial speed, and that is equal to the final speed. So this is the equation that we're going to use. I've rewritten the equation in a more common format. For whatever reason, most of the time we write a times t instead of t times a. It really just doesn't matter as long as you plug it in correctly. Remember to plug in all of your given information directly into this equation. Remember to include the units as you do this. The parentheses aren't necessary, but sometimes it helps you pay attention to what's going on. Don't mix things up. So if it works for you, use them. Before you pick up your calculator, you should look at the units. In this case, we have meters over second squared. I'm simply copying down the units from above, times seconds. So right here we've got these units. This second and this second cancels, and you're left with meters per second. So this part of the equation simply reduces to meters per second. There's the plus, and this unit over here is meters per second. So your units will be meters per second. When you check your units, you know if you got it right or wrong, just from that perspective. If you get something other than what you were expecting, go back and check your work. So we already know it's going to be in meters per second, so we just do the math. 0.9 times 10 is 9 meters per second, plus 1.3 meters per second is 10.3 meters per second. This is our final answer, and as always, you should stop and think about your answer. First, Vivian was walking 1.3 meters per second, and then she gained a certain amount of speed as she was walking to her appointment, and right away I can see my mistake. Hopefully you did too. If she was increasing a speed of only 0.09 meters per second squared for 10 seconds, she's really not going to gain very much speed. I wrote down the wrong thing right here. Now naturally you'd think I'd hit the delete button and start again, but we learn from our mistakes. If you watch somebody walk into a door, hopefully you won't do it too. So watching how someone makes a mistake, realizes how they made a mistake, and how to back out of it is very, very valuable. This is physics, where we're talking about learning about problem solving. So what do? We just plug everything in again. This right here, that value was wrong. And I mean, if I want to do it on this page, I can be sloppy a little bit, but it's 0.09. 0.09 times 10 is not 9, it is 0.9 meters per second plus 1.3 meters per second. We should have 2.2 meters per second. This is the correct answer, not that one. So as I said, think about your answer. This has been a perfect demonstration. I did it on purpose, yeah. And it's always a good idea to go back and look at the numbers again. I had 0.09 up there, which means there's not much change. So with practice, you'll start to catch your mistakes. Check with someone else once in a while. I'll provide an answer key as needed, but hopefully this has been useful for you.